I've never come across anybody who didn't like Shawn Porter. For that matter, what's not to like? Porter's always smiling, except when he's fighting. In the ring, his intensity can burn a hole right through his opponent. At the age of 29 and with a record of 26-2-1, Porter finds himself a former champion who's very much still in his prime. And big opportunities will keep coming for two reasons. First, Porter fights in the hottest and deepest division in boxing, welterweight. And second, Porter always brings it. World champions come in all shapes and sizes. At the start of his pro career, Porter had to reinvent himself. As a high school football star, he weighed 180 pounds. In his pro boxing debut, he scaled 165. But standing only 5'6", he sensed that if he wanted to be successful at the highest level, he had to gradually drop down to 147 pounds. Showbox was the perfect vehicle for him to do so, and Porter made his first appearance on premium cable in 2009.
22-year-old Shawn Porter, he's an aggressive volume puncher who's been busy as a pro. This will be his 12th fight in his 14-month career.
4 of his next 6 fights were on Showbox, and in his third appearance, he weighed in at the welterweight limit for the first time. One other thing fighting on Showbox allowed Porter to do was tinker with his boxing style.
That's a good Robinson with a jab, and Robinson is down.
Initially, Porter spent a lot of time moving in and out and boxing on his toes. He was far quicker than most of his opponents, but this style didn't always allow for him to take full advantage of his natural aggressiveness. Despite the experimentation, Porter managed to score a couple of breathtaking one-punch KOs.
And now he's got him dropped. Right hand. Raul Pinzon is rubbed off the map inside round 1.
Down goes Patterson with a left hook. Shawn Porter gets the job done against Jamar Patterson. And the Porter Express keeps on rolling.
In his first fight following his Showbox graduation, Porter took a major step up in opposition and challenged former lightweight world champion Julio Diaz. A very nice mix right now of Porter of speed, movement, and combination punching. He's a very athletic fighter with a lot of speed, but he's also very small. So does he want to be a pressure fighter, or does he want to move and box? At times during the fight, he still seemed unsure of his ring identity.
Diaz starting to find a home for that right hand. Another good chopping right hand, and that got Porter's attention. And the tenor of this fight changing ever so slowly here. Good left hand by Diaz. Very good shot. And a right hand by Diaz.
It's going to be fascinating to hear what the judges say about this.
And a big last round, ready for both men. Diaz ending it well. Porter starting it well.
His tentativeness cost him, and he was held to a draw.
The decision is even a draw.
But in the rematch 10 months later, Porter relied on what he does best: apply pressure, smother his opponent, and then outwork him. He fought with self-assurance in beating Diaz by unanimous decision. In December 2013, Porter challenged IBF welterweight titleist Devin Alexander at Barclays Center in Brooklyn.
The bell in round 1 scheduled for 12.
Style-wise, it was an ideal matchup for Porter.
The champion Alexander again gets tagged with a left hook.
And as early as the third round, it was clear that the southpaw couldn't hope to outslick the now characteristically aggressive challenger.
Coming forward is Porter, lands another nifty jab, 1-2 combination, and now a firefight breaking out.
It was a bloody fight, and at times an ugly one. Not all that unusual for Porter.
Porter continuing to smother Alexander.
The scores were fairly close, but also unanimous for the new champion.
And the new
in his first world championship bout at the age of 26, undefeated Showtime Shawn Porter becomes the new IBF welterweight champion.
Porter's first defense came in April 2014 and stands as his most dominant major win. He faced former world titleist Paulie Malignaggi. In retrospect, it might seem like the familiar storyline of a young and rising star versus a faded veteran. But in fact, Malignaggi was coming off a spirited split decision loss to Adrian Broner and a clear-cut win over Zab Judah.
Frenetic start to this championship affair. Paulie Malignaggi, he's already cut underneath the left eye. It's another clubbing right hand.
It was more of a mugging than a fight.
Porter again crowding him, making it rough and tumble, landing the right hand. Oh, and Malignaggi gets tagged with a couple of left hands, holding on. Man, what a beard does Malignaggi sport. He gets clobbered with another right hand.
Porter broke through late in the third, then savagely finished Malignaggi in the fourth.
I don't know how Malignaggi's still standing. Another right cross by Porter. Malignaggi in trouble along the ropes. The ropes are holding him up and he goes down.
After the second knockdown, the referee waved the fight over without issuing a count.
And he is not getting up. Shawn Porter has a successful first title defense as welterweight champion. What an onslaught.
What the Malignaggi fight showed me was that Porter had become somewhat of an unusual type of fighter. A welterweight who applied suffocating pressure, but who did so with exceptional hand speed and athleticism. In August 2014, Brook came to the United States to challenge Porter.
Age 28, he's come across the pond to try and win this world title.
If Alexander and Malignaggi had been good style matchups for Porter, England's unbeaten Kell Brook was all wrong. He's a tall, rangy, big welterweight, and his game plan was sound. Draw Porter in and counterpunch.
Kell Brook likes to fight at a controlled, precise pace. There's a nice counterpunch. That's important for him.
And if ineffective, with his counters, unashamedly clinch and grab. Anything to prevent Porter from fighting at his desired range.
Nice. Yeah, right hand there by Brook.
A different referee might have penalized him. Regardless, Brook landed the cleaner punches throughout.
You know, it's the activity of Porter against the nice power shots of Brook.
Highlighted by a big 11th round.
It's the small detail work that Brook's doing.
And the new welterweight champion of the world.
The judges scored by majority decision for Brook, whom I thought was the winner. A few chosen fighters are given opportunity after opportunity. Porter had to earn his second chance. 2 fights later, Porter faced another former world champion, Adrian Broner, who was coming up from 140 pounds. They met at a catchweight of 144, and the question on everybody's mind was, what would those 3 less pounds do to Porter? What was apparent almost from the start was that while Broner was looking for the perfect counter, Porter was willing to punch consistently, sometimes hitting and sometimes missing, but comfortably winning most of the rounds. Broner held far too much.
And this is exactly where Shawn Porter's got to be right there. You see, he's getting his hands free. He's digging the body of Adrian and finishing back up top. Adrian's looking to hold on because he doesn't like Shawn Porter being that close to him. Good shot by Shawn Porter. Adrian Broner holding again. Just relentless. You see if Tony Weeks continues to let Adrian Broner just grab a hold of Shawn and hold him like that.
And it eventually cost him when the referee penalized him in round 11.
I think Tony's going to take a point right here.
Maybe the point deduction awoke Broner because 10 seconds into the 12th, he struck with a perfectly timed hook. But the first knockdown of Porter's pro career had no impact on the outcome. Porter won by deserved, unanimous decision. It would take a full year, but Porter's win over Broner led to the biggest fight of his career. A clash with undefeated welterweight titleist Keith Thurman at Barclays Center in June 2016. Thurman Porter was wonderfully intense, fast-paced, and competitive throughout.
A close encounter of the welterweight kind. Right cross by Thurman.
In the fourth, Thurman almost drove Porter down.
Heavy exchange. Oh, and Porter's knee buckled after that left, and the veteran holds on immediately.
But on this night, momentum was difficult to maintain, and Porter rallied in the 5th and 6th.
That time the right hand got through for Porter, goes to the body. And now trying to absorb the onslaught from Porter. Oh, and Thurman coming back with a couple of
In the 8th, he hurt Thurman with a body punch.
Good work to the body that hurt Thurman.
And in the 9th, they traded toe-to-toe.
Bombs away in Brooklyn.
It was that type of back-and-forth fight. In the 12th, the fighters fought furiously, a fitting ending to an instant classic that surpassed what had been very high expectations.
Keith Thurman, Shawn Porter putting it all on the line.
No wonder then that it ended up on everybody's short list for Fight of the Year.
And still.
All three judges scored 115-113 to Thurman, and my unofficial card was the same. Had it been scored a draw, I doubt there would have been a single complaint. Each time Garcia has gone to the gate, he's left the ring with his hand raised, and after unifying belts in the 140-pound division, Garcia arrived at showtime. On the first boxing card at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, Garcia was rematched with the aging veteran Erik Morales. Garcia did what a young fighter is supposed to do to an old fighter. He pounded the future Hall of Famer in the opening rounds, and when they both launched left hooks in round 4, Garcia was first to the trigger, and that was that.
Oh, my.
Just a brilliant shot. Knocks Morales through the ropes. That's it, just like that.
Danny Garcia, tremendous possibilities in a 140-pound division that he may have in his future.
And this is a case of the king is dead, long live the king.
Morales had been a great champion. He never fought again. The following spring, Garcia returned to Barclays Center to face Brooklyn native and former 140 and 147-pound champion Zab Judah. Garcia employed an effective game plan early on, attacking Judah's body, and he stuck to it. The young champion showcased his speed and his strength throughout the first half of the fight and wobbled Judah several times.
Oh, and he hurts Judah with that right hand. Judah absorbing all kinds of punishment in the corner. And he rocks him with that right, and he's still on his feet.
Then in the 8th round, Garcia countered Judah and sent the veteran to the canvas with a right hand.
A great exchange, and down goes Judah. Straight right hand through the guard.
Judah showed his resilience by coming back strong after the knockdown and outfought Garcia toward the end of the fight.
Blood now trickling down from the hairline of the champion.
But Garcia stood tall, and the two traded shots until the final bell.
Fucking magnificent.
Danny Swift Garcia, he remains the unified 140-pound champion, improving to 26-0.
This fight is a fight boxing fans have salivated over.
In his next fight, Garcia was matched with one of the biggest hitters in the game, Argentina's feared Lucas the Machine Matisse. I was no different than almost everybody else. I thought Matisse would win by knockout. Matisse started strongly and dominated the first half of the fight.
And Matisse going on the attack.
Oh my, that left hook had some thunder on it.
The Argentine quickly racked up a lead, winning 5 of the first 6 rounds on all 3 cards.
Fuck up! Let's go, Dad! Let's go! Dad, let's go!
And after some motivating words from his father, Garcia put on a clinic of clean counterpunching and effective combinations, rendering Matisse's eyes completely shut.
He's gaining confidence as the fight's going on.
Oh, what a 4-punch combination!
Heading into the championship rounds, the fight was still up for grabs. Early in the 11th, Matisse rocked Garcia with a right hand that sent his mouthpiece flying. Garcia rallied, however, and sent Matisse to the canvas for the first time in his career.
Right hand to the body, 3-punch combination. Garcia has Matisse down!
An action-packed 12th round closed out an action-packed fight.
And a dynamite close to this championship bout!
We were headed to the scorecards.
And still.
Garcia won by close but unanimous decision, and with this victory established himself as the man to beat in the 140-pound division. In March of 2014, Garcia traveled to his family's homeland of Puerto Rico and fought for the first time in front of the Puerto Rican fans. He faced the slick and always troublesome Mauricio Herrera.
Oh, and there was a stiff right hand from Herrera.
Going from Matisse to Herrera was like trying to hit a knuckleball after having faced Aroldis Chapman's 105-mile-per-hour fastball. Garcia had trouble landing cleanly.
The fans here in Puerto Rico becoming a little restless with what they're seeing from the champion, who's trying to get on track now against the very tricky challenger, Mauricio Herrera.
I thought Garcia lost, and I certainly wasn't alone in scoring for Herrera. I think Garcia's disappointing performance was largely due to Herrera's style. Still, he left the ring with a majority decision win and 2 championship belts. Beginning in 2015, Garcia's next 3 fights were all on primetime television and in a new division, welterweight. Garcia's much anticipated showdown with the battle-tested Lamont Peterson was really 2 fights. Garcia started out strong and built an early lead. Then in the later rounds, it was Peterson who applied suffocating pressure and narrowed the distance. Garcia got the close decision, and this time I agree. Garcia returned in August and faced master boxer Paulie Malignaggi, who provided a different kind of test. This was a matchup of fighters heading in opposite directions.
The steady pressure of Garcia, if it doesn't get you early, it gets you late. And it's starting to look that way here.
Indeed, Garcia proved too strong. His focus never wavered, and the fight was stopped in the 9th round. In his most recent major fight, Garcia went toe-to-toe with former 2-division titleist Robert the Ghost Guerrero. If Garcia needed to assume the role of aggressor versus Malignaggi, he was wise to play boxer versus Guerrero, who's among the most physical welterweights in the world. Garcia showed maturity, dimension, and creativity in coming on strongly in the second half to close out the fight. I thought Garcia fought with both skill and intelligence, something we've grown accustomed to seeing from him. He did more than enough to secure a unanimous decision victory. This win made him a 2-division champion. Danny Garcia is now 33-0 and a champion at welterweight, a division that remains the deepest and most talented in boxing.